Michele Wright from Raleigh, Texas. And what an incredible week we had, y'all. I am so pumped right now. I don't know about you, but it is really, I guess the best thing is this week was an answer to prayer for me. Many years ago, after I wrote my book, Top of the Morning to You, um, COVID happened, and then it everything was put on hold. I had 1,000 copies of my book that came to my door. I was so excited and nowhere to go. Can you imagine that? And then I had a bunch of personal things happen to me as well. And so a year after COVID happened, the book, everything sat on the shelf until one morning God said, "Well, what are you going to do with this book I gave you?" And I went, "Oh my gosh, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea how to promote a book. I have no idea what next steps I have to take. I have no idea. And I need people." And within a week, I had an email that came to me, and it basically was a Tim Story and Michael Burt mastermind for $79 for 3-day video mastermind. And I went, gosh, I can't say no to this. And because I knew Tim Story, he was someone that had come to my church several times. And I went, I think I could do this. And it was a master the stage mastermind. And within that, I met several people of interest. Within that, then what happened is I slowly started meeting people. I met people like Rebecca. I met Chad Free. I met Brock through a period of time. And this past week, it kind of like all came together in like one big. And in God's world, this is not happenstance. Everything comes around for a purpose. Just like Chad Freeze, we were created on purpose for a purpose. Well, our purpose is not about us, it's about us and how we relate to other people and how we were uh, created in order to walk out the plans and purposes that God has for our life and how we reach out and encourage others. So, one of the things that came out, I can't remember who the speaker was, but uh, he indicated that there was a synergy that came about this past weekend. And this was a bigger synergy than even happened in Key West. I don't know what everyone else on here has thought, but it was incredible. And people just started clicking and getting together and saying, "Hey, I can help you do this. I can help you do that." And the thing about it is, in many years ago, I started the something on Top of the Morning to You. I don't know. This was a saying. It's not only my saying. Obviously, if you are a little bit Irish and you get a little bit of that as well. But there was just something about encouraging people and having people come together. And many years ago, I was on a lay pastor in a church, and I studied on the heart of God, and I studied on David, and I studied, well, what made him special is because he had a heart after God's own heart. And did you know that the heart is one of the first organs to be put together when a baby's formed? And it starts out by cells being formed. And the heart cells are a little bit different than all the other cells, but they start multiplying. And then they don't know exactly how this happens, but spontaneously, like that, one of the cells will start beating. Thump, thump, thump. And then spontaneously, another cell will start beating. So you'll have these cells beating, and another, and they're all beating kind of like this, all over the place until they touch each other. And what is amazing, when they touch each other, they begin to start beating together. So that's what has happened this past week. Uh, we have been a lot of people that have been beating here, there, and everywhere. But this week we started beating together. So I'm excited about this. At the end of last year, I challenged people to begin thinking about writing their book, to begin thinking about writing a chapter for an anthology uh, for Brock and myself. We're going to put this anthology together on the motivational mindset. I'm so excited. And I had four people graciously step out, and I commandeered one or two, but but they began to write a chapter. Uh, but I'm looking for 20 different people. But let me tell you, this week uh, I laid out 20 people that I wanted to talk to, and I've had 12 people now confirm that we're writing a chapter. Yes, absolutely. We have Chris Reshitar, we have Rosario, we have Heather, we have uh, everybody I talked to said absolutely. And I'm going like, I don't know, this might be a really, really big book, or we may have to do it in several volumes. But one of the last people I talked to, and I was a little bit uh, held back. I'm going like, how on earth would this very, very busy man want to be a part of this book? But the one of the last people I talked to was Jim Morris. And I said, Jim, I have a vision for this book. It's going to help Brock out. It's going to help each and every person that wants to write a book to launch out, because that's how we start. We start one step at a time, one chapter at a time. That's how we write a book. And he said, absolutely. So, Wendy, I sat in her class at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we laid out a little plan on what needs to happen. And I didn't have an end date in mind. It was kind of a soft date. Well, maybe by the time that we have our next event, it'll be ready. You know what Jim Morris said? When we go to New Orleans, we're going to have a book launch. I went, oh, that means we need to get busy. so, so not only are do we have the New Orleans event happening, we're going to have a book launch, and I'm all of a sudden I'm accountable to everybody on here today. Brock, you're there over there smiling. I can see you. Um, and my next thing is Rebecca Black is going to be working with me, and we're going to go self-publish it through her. And so, if I reach out to you, please work with me. We'll get this thing done. I have no earthly idea, but it's because of each and every one of us on this call, and also who have committed to be a part of this, that I am super, super excited. And believe it or not, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. but but with us all working together, I know we can do it. And I'm just really excited, because not only is it going to be a book for both Brock and I, each and every person in this anthology, guess what? You are going to be able to say you are a published author. And guess what? You'll be able, when you go out and speak, or when you meet with a real estate client, you can say, I'm a published author, and here's my book. So I am so excited about it. And you may ask, well, what am I going to write about? Well, each person has a story. And my chapter right now, I'm for whatever reason, I've kind of shifted to more towards a children's book, if you will. And so what I'm developing is a book. I have a dog. His name is Fabrice. And the book is Small Dog, Big Lessons, the Fabrice Tales. And uh, he's going to be uh, a model for a grooming session actually next week. And he's a little bit fearful and he doesn't have confidence. So this is a lesson on courage and confidence, you know, and that's something that even we need as a young people, and also uh, young people at every age that we have. So I see Brock is getting set up here, and I don't know if he's with us, but this is basically what it is. And
I'm here.
yep, okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool.
So, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Today is one of those days where, how many of you, you know me all, put a five in the chat that you have a plan for the day and then something happens and it messes up your schedule. Put a five in the chat. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one that just things just go sideways. Okay, good. There's some other people on here. So, I have to tell you, Michelle.
Uh-huh.
You blew me out of the water when I was driving this morning on your story of the heart. And as I was listening to it, it made me think Derek, at one point, he was one of our leaders on here. And if I was in a better position, I would have Googled or went on YouTube on something that he did of different heartbeats and rates and all those different things. And I'm going to try to find it for next week because I really thought that analogy, that story, was amazing because it is so true that when people come into this event and when people say to me, boy, that's the first time we did like the party first or the welcome party right from the get go, because then people meet each other. Because when we all arrive different times, different transportation. We all bring different stories, a different part of our lives, old, young, rich, poor, lost, comfortable, found, whatever it is we're all coming in on different beats. And it's not until we get ourselves in harmony, it's not until we get ourselves going through. And to me, it's always why I do the engagement on our board that I have over here. See, I'm on my phone. I can move things around, or I can move around. So I have this right here that we did.
Mhm.
I'll remember this. And I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to put some sort of polyurethane over it, and I'm going to hang it up because that's what happened. We all had a different word. You could even take all these words and put them into a chapter and ask ChatGPT to help us out with some of these type of ideas and thoughts of whatever it is. But when it was all said and done with, all our words are on one board. And just like your heartbeat, Michelle,
Mhm.
we all became one heartbeat,
Right.
one pounding boom, boom, boom. And we're all beating at the same rate. And we all started to help each other and grow. And just like a heart, that's when it starts pumping blood throughout your entire body.
Yeah, and and
And
and Brock, what it is, it starts with the rhythm. It starts with the
mm,
beat. But if it was just a beat, and didn't have a flow, which it is, then it creates the action, we wouldn't live. And it's so important to have a rhythm and a flow, a rhythm and a flow. And then part of it also, there's rest that comes in with it. Because you can't go 100,000 miles an hour all the time, but there's a time that we go, oh, okay, we have time to be able to reflect. We were pumped up this week and we were going 1,000 miles an hour. And so this weekend we have an opportunity to kind of just uh, And you had a day where you rested, for example, in order to be able to get your body right so that your mind, your will, and your emotions could go forward. And we can uh, continue on with the flow that we have. So yeah, it's exciting.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And the other thing that I liked, because somebody on here is probably thinking to themselves, I'd like to write a chapter. How many of you in here would like to write a chapter? Put a seven in the chat. Like, I like to write a chapter, but I'm not too sure what I would write about. I'm not too sure how long it would be. You had more questions sometimes than you do, but you know the goal. You know, like, I want to be involved. I want to become part of this. I like to be a published author, but I just don't know. I am uncertain. And that's why I like your word, Michele. You see that we have a lot of sevens now, is that I love this book because you're uncomfortable with it. Meaning you are trying to do something that you've never done before. You are trying to create something. You are what I call the kaleidoscope of this show is all of us coming into this and being able to read it, whether there's one volume or 17 volumes, whether there's one chapter, 27 chapters, whatever it might be. I love where you're growing and I love where you're going with this because many times we stop growing because we planted ourselves in a small little planter. And we can only grow to the size of the planter that we put ourselves in. And why it's important to plant yourselves in soil where you don't have any limiting beliefs, or you have to, as my father used to tell me. How many of you had this when you were young? Brock, we got to transplant the tomatoes. We're going to start them here, but we got to transplant them. And now the tomatoes have to go into the bigger garden because they need to grow. And what Michele, you are doing is you are starting people off as a seed and you are going to transplant them into authors.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's amazing because when you get to say you're a published author, when I was able to, like literally Gary and his team, I had to order 200 books and they're going to use my book and we're creating a platform on how I'm going to help them. Who would have thought this little seed I planted would transform into this thing with his team to be able to help their team understand that they realize that the conversations need to increase, the skill sets need to increase in today's real estate market. And that is why he's number one in the country is because he realizes the words that need to be said. And just like this book, Michele, that you're creating, the words that you put on this piece of paper, the words that you share with other people are going to transplant into them and help them grow. Because people have a story on here that will help somebody, and you might not even realize it. But the true thing I go back to is you being uncomfortable, Michele.
That's not fun. It's not fun being uncomfortable, let me tell you. And one of the reasons that this idea of an anthology popped up is a friend of mine has a friend who had been a Navy SEAL, and you were talking about, I think, a Navy SEAL several months ago on the show, and he lives very close to me. He's a published author, national speaker, and CEO of a health company 20 minutes from me. So this is another uncomfortable spot for me. And Brock, this is something that you encourage me to do is get interview some people who are successful and invite them on the show. Well, guess what? His book that he published is an anthology of public speakers, and so I'm going to meet with him next Friday, and I'm going to ask him, well, how did he pull it all together? How did he manage all of these things? And so it's all part of the plan for us to be able to get this. And it's going to be, this is a short amount of time in order to pull it together. So, so bear with me, everybody. I'm gonna be working very hard, and I already have a um, a plan or a guide, if you will, on how to write it, how many words it needs to be, this, that, and the other. But everybody has a story, and Rebecca and I will be getting together, and she's going to help us tremendously pull this together, and we'll get it published.
So I'm going to conclude with this, or depending on our timing here. I want you all to think about an author. I want you to think about a book. Actually, I'm gonna rewind it a little bit more. She was not going to care that I say this. So Justine and I have been really having some really good conversations over the last 24 to 48 hours, and she has hired me to help her grow over these next 6 months. And it always, like when I get done events or anything else, sometimes you get exposed to seeing other things and other ideas. And that's really why the event and the summit is so powerful. One is you're exposed to higher level, lower level. You're exposed to many different things, many different people, relationships. And for me as a coach, it allows me the opportunity to help people and work with people. That's why I put my stuff out here. Hey, if you want to interview me, you want to have conversations. And so her and I have been doing that. And last night, when we were finishing up and I was putting the game plan together, I said to her, "What book are you reading?" And she goes, "LOL, if I had time." And so I would challenge you this, and Justine obviously will be hearing this challenge as well, is I would challenge you that you can't afford not to read. When I was going through my dark days and I was trying to build habits and discipline, one of the books that I read was Atomic Habits. And I'd strongly recommend reading Atomic Habits. And it taught me that I had to, or one of the habits I built was I had to read 10 pages a day. That was my thing that I had to do. And since then, I don't even know. I probably have now read, I stopped counting after like 81 or 82 books. And I continuously read the one that I'm just finishing up now, right here. And I I enjoy reading. I never did when I was in high school, but I love when Frank McKinney said, "Enjoy writing." So my kids get a choice. They either can read or they can write. It's not all about you got to read 10 pages, you got to read 20 minutes. Yes, reading's part of it, but I also encourage them like, well, you can either write or read. Your choice, whatever it is that you got, but you got to do 20 minutes of it. And so when I was talking to Justine about reading the book, she said she didn't have time. And I encourage you all, if you're thinking, I don't have time to get involved with this chapter reading, I'm telling you, you do. I'm telling you, it's a really good opportunity for you to grow. It's a really good opportunity. Even if you already did a book, do another one. Put another chapter in here because then you say you're a multi author or whatever the saying is. But it's very important to understand that when you put yourself in an uncomfortable position, so as far as the author's edition, Michele knows a little bit about my craziness, just like it was with Gary. Guess who I'm hunting down to have as our author edition speaker? Take a guess, Michele. You get one guess.
Michael Burt.
Close. But it's a female. I'm hunting Mel Robbins with the
Woo!
book that she wrote, Let Them. I think it's an amazing book. And just like it is, go big or go home. And so I'm hunting Mel Robbins down. And I'm telling you all right here, when she comes on, the first thing out of your mouth that I want you to say is, damn, that son of a bitch did it. Okay? Because that's what I want people to think. Just like when Michele says, oh, right? Like, wow, that's a big author, Brock, to bring onto the show. That's, I mean, how many things start to come into play? Like, wow, she's doing this and this. I don't care because to me, you need to set your goal high And if this fragrance chapter makes you fearful and how the hell am I going to do it, it's okay. Just like it's okay for me to try to go find Mel Robbins and ask her to be on the show and to speak in her book. Because how many of you put a 10 in the chat or put a me in the chat have read her book or one of her books, right? Several of you have done that. She's a great author. I think she makes a huge impact. And she's a very powerful woman. And she has a story. And she puts her pants on the same way that I do. So, Michele, in conclusion, for those of you who are thinking, for those of you who are challenged, I want you to really think outside the box. Dawn saw her live. Damn, Dawn, you should have told me. I would have go find her. That's the best place to go. I could talk to him right then and there. Hey, you! We need to talk. We need to talk. So, without further ado, and looking at the time, I will conclude is if you got that weird feeling, that gut feeling, you're not too sure how you're going to do it, it seems uncertain, it seems uncomfortable, you have people here that are willing to help you. Michele, that's her passion, it's her goal. Make her so overwhelmed that she calls me and says, Brock, this is a little bit too much on my plate. I need help. Like, make her feel that way. I love making people like, damn, this is more than I thought. That's great. I'm glad. That's a great problem to have because
Yeah,
the other way sucks.
yeah. Brock, I was really, kind of tearing my hair out trying to figure out how am I going to get all these people to be a part of it. And then after I invited Jim Morris and he said, "Oh, we're having a book launch in New Orleans," I'm going like, "Oh, that's exciting." But not only did he say that, he also said he also invited Cullen to write a chapter. He invited somebody else. So it wasn't all about me collecting people. It's we're beginning to flow together and work together. And that's so exciting. It makes me want to do more.
Amen. Amen. And that's the energy that you feed off of. That's why after a summit, it's always important to keep that energy, keep that synergy flowing. And you do
Absolutely.
it by relationships. You do it by getting involved. You do it by, that's why when I left Michael Burt or I leave John Maxwell or I leave one of these events, I hire them as a coach. I get involved in some capacity so that way I can keep the flow going because as you know, when the music stops, when all the energy starts to, get lowered, we are like, here I am, back into my normal habits, back into routine, but you can change that. So, great show, Michele. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you everybody. This is going to be an incredible year and I'm looking forward to being a rhythm and flow with the heartbeat of motivational mindset and we will see Chad Free on Monday as he brings in his nugget for the finances. Love you guys.
Bye, all. Have a great weekend.